everyone. We are back at IGN Live at Gamescom 2018, and we are talking about a game that I am so insanely excited about, which is Hitman 2. Let's talk some Hitman 2. So I don't even know where to start, so we will start with the story. You are releasing the game in its entirety on the launch day, correct?
We are. All 6 base levels are going to be there for everybody to enjoy.
So what can we expect from the story? The end of the last game ended in a way that kind of hinted at some pretty big stuff, but also I felt like it was telling us that we'd learn more about Agent 47.
Yeah. I can't reveal too much, but I can say that it does take its twists and turns here in Hitman 2. We are continuing the story, learning more about the Shadow Client, learning more about 47's past as well. But that's as far as I can go right now.
That's fair. So as far as the creative process and thinking about making a game episodically versus making a game that's coming out all at launch, how does that differ?
It's a lot more work, of course, and we did love the episodic format.
Yeah. And I think a lot of fans did too.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely enjoyed it.
Absolutely. But there was also a lot of people who sort of didn't really understand it.
Totally.
And then that became the topic, right? So we thought, well, we're doubling down on the live content, which was also part of the season 1, right? A lot of continuous drops of awesome stuff. And this time around, was like, all right, here's everything at once. And then we're all the levels at once, at least, right? And then continuing with drops throughout Hitman 2, right?
So the post-launch content, all those live updates after for the original Hitman, I know were super fun. I had an amazing time with them. Are we to expect more coming for Hitman 2, even though it's not episodic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that answer. So what about if you haven't played through the story mode and the elusive target is on, let's say, the 4th map? Are you still able to engage in that? Or do you have to wait until you actually reach that in the story?
The elusive targets are not part of the story as much as they are these bonus things that come in, right?
Yeah.
So,
but if the elusive target takes place on a map that maybe you haven't reached in the story, are you still able to play it?
That I will not answer right now.
Okay. That's a good way of not answering.
It's a really, really good question.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I can hear.
So, okay, we're looking at the Miami level.
Yeah.
And what can you tell us that's new to the gameplay? We've talked about the story. Let's focus on the gameplay.
Well, Miami is by far the largest level we have ever done. I think we have around 2,000 NPCs in it.
That's
a ton
a lot
of crowd. Yeah, it
so
is. It really is.
How many NPCs are on an average Hitman level, just for scale?
Well, it depends, right? But I think we have somewhere around 1,000 on some of the bigger ones in the previous game, right? So that really got upped. But another cool thing is that the crowd now is really been a part of the gameplay. So now when people are after you, you can go in and sort of go into one with the crowd, which is a cool strategic move to do, and which fits the fantasy a lot as well, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the new things that we're bringing in.
Definitely immerses you. I feel like there's a really big push for being totally immersed in this universe.
Yes, there's a lot of role play aspects in this game, and going in and just feeling like the best assassin there, right? That's also why we're bringing back the beloved suitcase, which is it's been such a pleasure for a lot of us at I/O to actually see it come back, right? And it's a funny little thing, like, why is that so important?
Right.
But just if you look at him and if you walk around with a suitcase in your hand that you know is filled with dangerous stuff, that just makes you feel so powerful.
Yeah, it's not just a sniper anymore. You can put more than just a sniper in your briefcase.
It's become this puzzle piece where you can take whatever you want to put in there, right? And you can get other NPCs to smuggle it. So if you leave it anywhere, and people notice it and it's out of place, They will pick it up and get it to a guard. The guard will pick that up and go to a
Interesting.
different place, right?
So the NPCs are extremely dynamic.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. They will react to so much stuff in this world. Weapons lying there. Of course, bodies being out of place. But that, it happens.
I'm
in
really
the
good
game,
at
right?
hiding the bodies, though, so.
Yeah, but that's really nice in our game that they are so observant.
Yeah.
So I personally find there's so much pleasure teasing them because you can tell that they freak out, right? And you can sort of feel sad for them, and you can choose not to kill them at times. I think.
Interesting. I didn't really think about that. So does having NPCs who are a little bit more interactive kind of create more of a choice as far as like, oh no, I don't really want to kill them?
It does for me, yeah, absolutely. And I think I see a lot of people who are like, no, I'm not gonna be mean to you. Of course, to the targets, but they're always like,
but
they
the
deserve
targets,
it, right?
they're asking for it.
Yeah,
but the
absolutely.
NPCs, because that's funny you say that, because when I play the games, I kind of don't really think about that. I'm just like, hey, I need this. So I try my best not to kill them, but I usually end up killing them by accident.
I guess it's a little bit about how your day has been, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
So going back to the Miami level, talked about immersion. There was when I got to play the level, which I've gotten to play a few times, which is super exciting. There is a mechanic with reflections. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. We learned so much from the previous one, right? And there are so many things that we want to do. And one of the things was, for instance, mirrors. Which is also a classic if you see a thriller movie and somebody's looking in the mirror and here comes somebody behind them, right? So now we added, and nothing happened in the previous game with that. And so we added this as a nice little touch, I think, that they will actually see you in the mirror and then react to that, right? Which gives a great new little puzzle element as well. So we have to be aware of these dawn mirrors, right?
Yeah, well, there's extra things that are on your mind. So that actually is a great segue for the fact that when I first engaged with that mechanic, I was thinking about how I usually go about the level in Japan in the first game, yes, and how I always end up killing somebody in the bathroom, and I'm always so thankful that they can't see through the mirror because there's always a man washing his hands. And I was like, wow, that would be so difficult if I have to do this level with that mechanic. So you guys just announced the World of Assassination. That's what it's called, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you want to go back to Hokkaido, you might be in trouble, but there might be other ways that you can actually bypass that, because we revamped all of the levels from the previous game with all the new mechanics that we have in the new one, right? And by that, sort of emphasizing the idea behind the World of Assassination, this ever-expanding, ever-evolving universe, right? Because for us, it would be sort of a shame that we love Paris, we love Sapiens, we love all the levels on the previous game, and all these new mechanics, they deserve to be there as well, right? And so we've gone back, revamped it all, balanced it out, and so players who have the previous game already, when they buy Hitman 2, they will get all these. They will get the suitcase. They will get the new dart gun. They will get I haven't talked about the foliage. We have some foliage gameplay as well. The crowd mechanics are gonna be there. The mirrors are gonna work as they will in Hitman 2, right?
Okay, so the foliage thing. Let's talk about that. What is that? Is that hiding in plants?
Yeah, we did this thing about limited vision areas, right? And exactly, it's hiding in plants that can be crowd size or high, so you can stand up, which adds a whole new element to how you play the game. But that's not only you, because also bodies can be dumped and they won't be able to see them unless they stumble over them, right? And also weapons and the suitcase.
So you can hide all of that in plants.
Yeah, exactly, right? Which adds a great new element and looks absolutely stunning.
Well, I think that just speaks to the game of you and your team add, a few mechanics, and it completely changes the way that people are going to play through not only Hitman 2, but the original Hitman maps.
Absolutely, and tie the two together and the future together.
So, let's start with the original Hitman, since we're talking about the Hitman 2 mechanics being applied there. Is there a kind of different approach that you have to take when you're playing these games? Like, has there been anything that you've encountered that you're like, wow, that is really difficult now?
Well, we're balancing it out, right? And it's a tricky game because there's so much stuff happening.
Yeah.
And yes, there have been areas where, well, there could be places where we could not put foliage, or places where we put more, because we can also use it to sort of the places that were too hard before. We can sort of ease that out, and other places we can say, well, maybe we don't have a mirror here. We're sort of constantly building, making it feel better, right? Constantly improving on the game that we have.
So what are you thinking about when you're thinking of balance in the game? I know you just kind of went into that, but as far as like how difficult, what's your gauge? Like how difficult is it supposed to be? Because I feel like there's so many different ways to approach things.
Yeah, well, we are also having it, there is, right? It's a tough question. It's a good question. We are introducing different difficulty levels in the game, right? Adding more patrols, adding more cameras for the more hardcore players, and also amping up the combat when you go on higher difficulties, also, right?
So what does that look like?
That looks pretty crazy in the Hitman 2, but will now also in the world of assassination, right? There's way more happening when sort of shit hits the fan. Sorry, with tons of debris, NPCs trying to flank you, stuff like that, sending people out to sort of bypass you, right?
Yeah, well, and I'm sure it doesn't help that the NPCs are now hyper aware of the fact that you're fighting a man.
No, but we also giving the player some new tools to sort of we're introducing some stun grenades and some flashbangs that can mess with them in interesting ways, right?
So back to balance.
Yeah, exactly. So you give a little bit of this, and then you need to counter offer with something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much for talking to me about that.
My pleasure.
That was amazing. That's
all right.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So November 13th is when Hitman 2 hits shelves or digital markets. I guess that's the digital shelf. Anyways, stay tuned because more Gamescom 2018 is coming at you after this.